grief plays a pivotal role in our success. We all are going to experience grief at some point in our life. But I think what boils down to our pivot or navigating grief, it boils down to choice. Yes, grief boils down to choice. And I know a lot of people want to argue with me about that, but you have a choice whether you want to stay in that grief and continue to pamper your pain, or you find a way to convert that pain into purpose.
Welcome to GMP, the Great, Glorious, and Glamorous, aka the Going North Podcast, where authors from around the world help you realize that success is tangible. You'll leave with at least one new piece of inspiration or information to help you keep going north. Now let's get on with the show. Another review highlight before we get started with today's episode, and this one is from T-Will41, all the way from the US of A. And he left a 5-star review titled, Tons of Content. Listening to Dom's podcast, and he's full of content. So many great guests for everyone who listens. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And thanks, folks, who have already done just that. And if you haven't already, and this is your first time listening, do just that right now. Heck, preferably after you're done listening to today's episodes. That way, it's more deserving and proven that, hey, you freaking enjoyed today's content. And speaking of today's content, let's get on with the interview. And today on the Highlight Reel Builder for Authors, known as the Going North Podcast, GMP, the Great, Glorious, and Glamorous. That's right, indeed. We got a guest today that can fit all three of those G's because, as one of my favorite video game characters of all time, Big Smoke likes to say, it's time to return to favor, baby. That's right, indeed. It's a host special. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. Because this host is probably one of my favorites right here, especially from the year 2022, because she had me on her freaking show, and she is a bundle of joy because we get to laugh because we both got corny, somewhat dark senses of humor. So we're like peas in a pod. That's right, indeed. And some of the pods weren't even green. Some of them were chocolate. And let me tell you a bit about today's guest before a rabbit hole appears. Because today's guest, not only is she a fellow bookcaster, a wonderful lady who's published a book, but also runs a podcast, or in this case, run multiple. She's also an award-winning journalist, y'all. So that's right, indeed. We got the real deal Holyfield, y'all, an actual journalist indeed, who's actually won awards for it, as well as a producer. So let's give it up for the P and the B. We ain't talking about peanut butter, but we're talking about the fabulous Portia Booker. How you doing today, Portia?
Dom, my brother from another mother, I still am waiting for us to create the double chocolate podcast. So whenever you're ready, look, the doors are open. But seriously, thank you so much for inviting me. I mean, it's fun to be on the opposite. And I've told people before, Dom, that I love to be interviewed. I love for people to pick my brain. I mean, I'm used to doing all the, hey, I want to know about how you started from here at nothing to now you're like the greatest thing since sliced bread. Funny story about peanut butter. Like, seriously, I have to go into this story because, obviously my name is Portia Booker, but I go by Portia the producer. Well, growing up, me and my brother, I created like a little, I guess, my first media company in a sense when me and my brother were still in high school. And I called it PB&J Designs, Portia, Booker, and Julian Designs. So, and it's funny because I loved growing up peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Even now, I'll eat one on occasion because me and bread kind of have a what I call Ike and Tina relationship sometimes. So I can't really eat them as much as I want to because of the gluten in the bread, but that's okay. Sometimes I win. Other times, obviously I'm glad I don't have black eyes and things like that, or it doesn't really show too much on my face when I do eat bread. So knock on wood, I'm glad that my skin has a very, I would say, adjustable amount of elasticity and strength. So but my favorite, seriously though, I loved eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches growing up with a nice glass of milk. Oh my God. Like if it's ice cold, like in the summertime where you're like sweating in places you didn't know you could sweat, and you just drink a nice cold glass and you're just like, oh, and you eat, oh, peanut butter still. My mom's birthday just recently passed. My mom would have been 70 on January 16th. And I celebrated. I celebrated by eating a slice of a Reese's pie. Oh my God. Talk about pure deliciousness. Talk about pure joy. Talk about celebration all in a box in literally a small piece of pie. It was heaven. Truly heavenly. I told you weren't ready for me to come on here, Dom, because I'm like a Jacqueline in the box. You don't know what you're going to get, and neither do I. So
those are usually the best interviews, indeed. My goodness, my goodness. And so sorry for the passing of your mom, because I know that's still a big hole of pain you have to deal with on the daily, and it's definitely rough losing parents, especially your mom. Indeed, especially happy heavenly birthday to her. Indeed, Capricorn season. That's right. Indeed, you love to see it. That's right. Indeed, you love to hear about it too, especially when there's peanut butter that grows arms and legs and puts on gator shoes and tells you to sing the song.
oh my God. It's funny, Dom, because my mother loved peanut butter. I remember seeing her growing up as a kid, going in the fridge, getting a spoon and eating it. And she used to do that with cake icing. I didn't celebrate her birthday with cake because I personally do not like cake. I don't like the icing. I feel like it tastes like toothpaste. And I'm ready to just take it and put it on a slingshot and fling it at people. But that's for another day. I'm not going to go there. But yeah, Dom, to go back to what you mentioned about losing a parent, I don't care what age you lose a parent, whether you're 7, whether you're 17, or whether you're 31 like me. Losing a parent is probably one of the most painful experiences. But I mean, let's be honest, grief is a unique journey, whether you physically lose someone or that relationship you've been in for 10 years that you shouldn't have left after year 1, whether it's that job that you stayed at for 15 years when you should have left on day 1 with all the red flags. I mean, grief is a unique journey. It truly is. And for me, hence my book, Finding Grace Within Grief, Her Transition, My Transformation. Little did I know, Dom, when that title came to me, I didn't realize how big of an impact it would have on my life. And mind you, I released this book in October of 2022, literally 3 months after my mom made her transition. And so when I look back to that time, even till now, I can see the growth and development within myself on a professional level, on a personal level. But as we both know, Dom, it's all connected. Everything is a blend. It's not this or, it's this and. And I can truly say that I'm grateful for my grief journey. Like, Dom, my coaches will tell you, I am probably the queen of gratitude. I find gratitude even in the most darkest times of my life. I mean, my mom's transition, literally, I was being prepared for that when I made my pivot from television. I was a TV producer for NBC. I had my dream job right out of college, and I was determined to be that executive producer, to move up the ladder and make my whole family proud and everybody celebrating, happy go lucky, marry, have kids, all this stuff. But no. As we both know, the journey, no pun intended, going north can have a whole bunch of scribbles. It can have flat tires. It can have nails. It can have, bullet holes going through your windshield. I mean, just all types of pitfalls that you could think of will happen in your road to success. And let's be honest, Dom, that grief plays a pivotal role in our success. We all are going to experience grief at some point in our life. But I think what boils down to our pivot or navigating grief, it boils down to choice. Yes, grief boils down to choice. And I know a lot of people want to argue with me about that, but you have a choice whether you want to stay in that grief and continue to pamper your pain, or you find a way to convert that pain into purpose. I knew for me, Dom, 2 days after my mom made her transition, I said a prayer. I was like, God, look, I know that I'm no stranger to grief. We've been in this boat before, but I need help. I knew I didn't want to fall into that boat of becoming a workaholic or becoming addicted to things that I was in the past from being a product of grief. And so when I said that prayer to God and surrendered it, he connected me to my therapist, who hence why my book came into fruition. My book really was a response to all of the feedback I was getting from people about my mom making her transition. I heard so many people say, "Oh, your mom's gone. It's a great loss." And I'm thinking, Jesus, the only thing that's in y'all mind is negativity around somebody making a transition. Why are we not celebrating that this person don't have to suffer no more? This person can live their life and be happy wherever they are. Their assignment is done here. So why are we being sad and crying and boo-hooing instead of celebrating that they have graduated from this lifetime? And that was kind of the way my book went. I wanted people to see that grief doesn't have to be a death sentence for you. It doesn't have to be a prison bound for you. You can find a way to grow within your grief. And also, I think grief in layman terms, Dom, is love without direction, right? That love is no longer going to that person, that job, that relationship. So why not redirect that love to you? And I think that was the pivot for me with my mom's transition, was learning, number one, to love myself, number two, to grow, right? Because when my mom made her transition, all these childhood traumas had popped up for me. And I was like, okay, I have a choice to either run away like I have been, like the runaway teenager in the movies, going to California to find their life in Hollywood and all this stuff. We've all seen the sad violence story before. Or I can run towards it and address it. And I made the choice to run towards it because I knew I wanted to be better. I knew that I wanted to show people that they don't have to be a prisoner of their grief for 5, 10, 15, 50 years later. You can find a way to grow. You can find a way to leverage it and find purpose in your pain, but you don't have to stay there. Grief is a process, but it is not permanent.
Preach, Portia, preach. That's right, indeed. That P and the PTP stands for Portia the Preacher, y'all. So I'm talking about indeed. That's right. Y'all got to leave something in the plate, indeed. Don't be pampering your pain, y'all. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. Pain, we all experience it, but hey, don't pamper for too long. That's right, indeed. If you pamper it for too long, it becomes pampers.
Right? I mean, and then you just continue to pee in the same pamper and you just sit in it because it's warm, it's comfortable, but at the same time, it's giving you a rash, it's giving you all these other things. So, Dom, it's so. See, I told you, you weren't ready for this conversation with me. I told you, I am like a jackal in the box. You don't know what you're going to get, and neither do I. But I truly agree with you. I mean, we in our society, Dom, we place so much negativity on grief. When really, for me, grief has been a benefit. I think grief is beneficial for us to grow, for us to flourish, for us to find purpose. We need that downtime. Like one of my coaches said to me, you either win or you learn. There's no such thing as loss. You either win or you learn. And I think grief is that learning period for us, that, okay, this chapter of our life, the door has closed for a reason. So why are we trying to keep opening a door that we don't have the keys for anymore? Right? You know, that's like trying to break into your old house when we know that there's nothing in there. Somebody else currently lives there. So you risk getting obviously shot up by something or whatever else may happen. Obviously, bear traps might be outside or whatever. I don't know how people protect themselves these days, but seriously, I think grief is it's a unique journey for each person. But for me, it has been probably one of the most profound, even though I'm still in it. It has been a very soul searching and coming home journey for me, because for the longest time, Dom, I have been a stranger to Portia. Now, like I said, I'm the subject matter expert now. I'm no longer the one behind the mic doing the interviews. Now I'm the one being the subject, people wanting to know, well, who is Portia, right? In grief, there's more things that we, quote unquote, lose than just the physical person or the job, the relationship. It's part of our identity. When I let my show go, Grew with Portia, that question popped up again. Who is Portia? And even now, I'm on that self discovery journey. And truthfully, Dom, it has been remarkable. Taking time to reflect, taking time to really enjoy life because I was a full time caregiver of my mom and I let a lot of my dreams and goals go because my identity was wrapped up as being the full time caregiver of my mother. And so now I get to live, I get to pursue what Portia wants to do. And I think that's the beauty in grief is now that this door is closed, what next?
So I'm talking about, indeed, focusing on what's next, indeed. So my goodness, so in addition to the therapy and the self-reflection and realizing, hey, this is new level, next level Portia, anything else you've been doing to help you with your grief for those who may be going through grief right now?
You know, there's a couple things, Dom, that really have helped me. Number one, I tell people this, you have to cry. I don't care if it's the boo-hooing, snot running so thick that you can tow your own car. You have to cry. You have to. Seriously, you know the little kids when you slap their hand when they're trying to grab something that they're not supposed to grab, and then they're like crying, boo-hoo, like, and all the snot is running out of their nose and stuff. That's the kind of crying where you know it's good. You have to let yourself feel it. You have to. You're allowed to cry. Because I know for me, Dom, for the longest time, I love to tell the story to people that I grew up with all boys. And so when you grow up with all boys, there's this expectation that you're not allowed to show weakness, right? I grew up playing basketball with my cousins and football and battleship and all these other things, video games. I mean, I told you I used to be a big gamer back in the day. My first job was at GameStop. Yes, it was, people. I used to work at GameStop. But seriously, I mean, grief is a journey. It truly is a journey. But I want to go back to crying. Crying, truly, you have to cry. You definitely have to cry. Number two, I recommend highly journaling. Journal out every feeling. I mean, when I tell you bleed on paper. People, take that pen. If you just got to ink it, take it apart and just dot it on the paper. That's fine. Get your emotions out. Let those feelings out. Reflect. I do it in the form of writing letters. I do. Me and God have a very unique relationship, Dom, because I literally write letters to him. There was I think a book series that somebody wrote like years ago where it's like, hey God, it's Abby again. That's literally kind of how I write my letters to God. Like, hey God, it's Portia again. I have a very unique question for you today. And that helps me. Now I know for some people, it's writing letters to their loved one who is, transitioned or whatever. Maybe even I want to pivot away from somebody physically transitioning. Maybe even if you're going through a breakup or if you're transitioning from a position, write a letter to your current self and really highlight your values, highlight your worth, and even highlight what you want in your next endeavor, right? Really speak it into existence because obviously there's a bump in the road, the reason why this journey is coming to a close or it already has. So, writing a letter, reflecting, cry, write a letter. Also, self care. Self care is pivotal when you're going through grief, whether it's taking yourself out on dates, taking that nice hot hour-long bath, journaling, spending time with friends, going to the gym. Self-care is key. Eating right. I will say that was something that I really struggled with was eating in the very beginning of my mom's transition. Sometimes I would go at least 7 or 8 hours without eating anything. Like I would make sure I would hydrate, but make sure that you eat. If you have somebody set meals for you, you can do that. I also recommend too keeping snacks on hand, just little snacks, whether it's an apple or a granola bar, peanut butter of some sort, peanut butter and apple slices, whatever it might be. I mean, some people, I've had some unique snacks come through my way since I don't really do bread anymore. So I'll do like a banana and peanut butter. Oh, That used to be my favorite pre-workout meal. Is like a banana with some peanut butter. Oh, I'm at this. See, Dom, you're making me hungry to do this. But yeah, I mean, so I would definitely recommend to, making sure you eat right. The other thing that I really have to stress is don't isolate yourself. I mean, it's good to isolate for a little bit of time to reflect, but really put yourself in some type of community, whether it's a grief support community or going to that trusted friend or family member. I mean, if you my DMs are always open on social media. On Facebook, I'm Portia Booker. On Instagram, Portia_hugs, or on LinkedIn, Portia Booker. My DMs are always open if you just need somebody to talk to, if you need somebody to just listen, because I know for me, sometimes when you're going through grief, you fall into this boat of you feel as though nobody else understands what you're going through. You feel as though nobody else wants to hear you. It's that negative self-talk that we tend to fall into, and it's pivotal. It's key to have that support system. And I'd say the other thing, I have to also stress this with me being a mental wellness advocate. If you're really struggling, call the crisis line. You could text it. I think it's 741-741 or 988. Those are always open 24/7, and somebody will, get with you. Especially don't struggle in silence when you're going through grief. Grief can be so challenging and crippling for an extended period of time, but it doesn't have to be. The other thing I also recommend, whether it's the physical transition of someone or you pivoting to a new career or that breakup, create a memory box or something memorable where you can revisit it later on, maybe not right then and there, but come back to it later on, and set a time limit too. That's another thing I read in a blog, to set a time limit for your grief. Like every week you kind of like give yourself 20 minutes to cry, then okay, shorten it maybe to 15 or however much, because that'll also help you to pull yourself out of it a little quicker. So those are my tips for people. So to recap, cry, reflect, make sure that you're eating good or have some type of snacks available. Number 4, your support system is pivotal. Number 5, be mindful of your mental wellness. You can text the crisis line 741-741 or call 988 for assistance. So those are my tips for people, because I've had to do that. I mean, because even Dom, I felt bad when late at night, it's like 1 to 3 in the morning, the witching hour, of course. The witching hour of all things, when I'm feeling really depressed, when I'm feeling just so broken. And I didn't want to call any of my friends at that hour. I mean, some of them have kids, some of them work early, i.e., 6 o'clock in the morning. I used to be that person who worked at 6. I didn't want to call them. So I'm grateful that I had the crisis line, the text, and that was a good thing, that people who don't want to physically talk, you can text. That is probably the most convenient thing they could have invented, because I didn't want to wake my brother up who was sleeping down the hallway from me or get the dog sad. Oh, that's another thing too. If you have fur kids, spend time with fur kids, because they're definitely, my dog, Mr. Fletcher. Yes, he's spoiled rotten. We're 10 days apart. His birthday's November 20th and mine's the 30th. He has definitely been a big support during this grief journey that I've been navigating. So even if I just go and sit in his room and pet him, like Dom, literally my dog, he's so funny. His tail starts wagging. He loves to literally sniff my butt. Literally, he loves to do it. I don't know why. It's like, I'm like, dude, are you trying to tell me I stink? Like, what? I'm a little offended. And so I'll be like, hey, Mr. Fletcher, right? You want to sniff my butt? Why are you trying to sniff my butt? And then his tail just wags and he just jumps up and down. I'm like, I guess. Weird dog. I guess. I told you. You don't know what this conversation is going to consist of.
Well, hey, maybe, maybe you're one of the great dogs in one of your past lives. He wanted to sniff the greatness.
I guess. I mean, unless it's some type of high that they get. But I'm like, dude, I don't even speak your language. I don't have 4 legs. I mean, unless I get down on all 4s. But even still, like, I don't bark. I don't have fur like you. And you're a boy, so you have other parts that I don't. But that's for
Maybe that's why he was sniffing.
I guess. I mean, I love that little furry butt companion. That's what I call him. My little furry butt companion is what I call him. And he's definitely a good little guy. He definitely is. I'm truly grateful.
That's what I'm talking about, indeed. If y'all ain't getting a tennis bracelet of wisdom with all these jewels, Portia's dropping on you. That's right, indeed. Especially that memory box, indeed. That's right, indeed. Because we have a lot of great photos, a lot of great heirlooms. You'll basically do some metaphorical time travel. That's right. You get to see the good old days and reminisce and be like, oh man, I can't believe it. Like, man, I can still remember looking through some of my father's old pictures because he used to take a lot of pictures at one time, and we had a bunch of big photo albums. And just seeing my dad when he was had more weight in his body, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I forgot he looked like that. It's just and simpler times is like, yeah. So those memory boxes definitely good times. Like track your journey, do that journaling. That's right. That way, a few years go by, and then you get to see your growth, see what you were thinking. That's right, indeed. See how far you've come. Figure
Oh
out how
yeah.
far you got to go.
Yeah. Oh, Dom. I mean, when I tell you, I had the opportunity to look back through my journals in 2016 through 2017. That was when I was in my television career, and there was just a lot going on, and I saw a dot in my mental health. And when I read back over those journals, sometimes I get emotional about it because I realize, wow, I was so broken. I felt so broken. I felt alone. I felt as though I couldn't tell anybody what I was going through because I grew up in a household where mental health was taboo. Mental health was never talked about. The only thing that I was met with when I told my mom one time I was depressed was, you better take your depressed day and put your nose in that Bible, was what I was met with. And I think a lot of households, especially in communities of color, are often told to utilize the Bible as this guide to overcome any and all things. But if I don't even understand the foundation, right, we're going to start from the foundational level. If I don't even have a basic foundational structure in my spiritual or religious faith, how can I really take this book and apply it to my life when I don't even understand even how to pray, even my relationship with a higher power, yet alone do I even believe at that time. So, there was just so many transitions, even that time of my life, of figuring out again, who am I now that this career has ended for me. I'm thankful to this day, Dom, that breakdown during my television career was the breakthrough I needed to live out my true purpose today, because there was grief there. There was a ton of grief there. Number one, moving to another state, brand new city, brand new everything, away from my nucleus support system. So there's all these questions of, oh man, did I make the right decision? Did I, should I have stayed longer? What other options should I have explored before just jumping for the first bid that I went for? And so there were all these things that were present at the same time as I'm navigating life. And so even when I compare both my television career ending and the transition of my mom, that was paving the foundation for me to be able to navigate this bout of my grief, where I'm not fully crippled in my grief. At that time, I was on so many different meds. I mean, God, that's for a whole nother day, Dom. I mean, I probably had the drug dealers beat by how much stuff
Oh
they
damn!
had me on. And,
Ouch!
you know, multiple times a day, I literally went from, now, I promise y'all, I wasn't putting the Whitney Houston special or nothing, but I literally, Dom, went from like a size 16 in pants to like a 9 in under 90 days from all the meds that they had me on. It was ridiculous. And I know that
Ooh,
wasn't healthy. Definitely it
ooh,
wasn't. It was scary. Like, I
ooh.
mean, when I even think back, I found a pair of those pants, Dom, not too long ago when I was cleaning out my closet and letting go of things. I was like, wow, I went to this size from all the things that I was going through. And
Mm.
as we both know, there's a connection, your stomach's your second brain. So there was just so many pivots and caveats that contributed to that severe weight loss. And obviously, because I was mentally unwell and my whole body had to like shut down in a sense for me to start to heal again, had to stop everything. I mean, I told you I almost ended my own life over that. And because of the shame, because of the guilt. And even when I look and compare this grief journey that I've been on for the last 6-7 months of my mom's transition, my mom hasn't even been a year yet that my mom made her transition. And I see the growth and the forwardness that I have versus at that time I was more of a prisoner of my emotions versus now I'm able to articulate and understand what the emotion is, what I need to do to work through it and feel it. Because at that time, I couldn't feel anything. You know that commercial, Dom, that's on YouTube where it's for one of those mental health drugs. I don't remember which one it is, but it's it's one person who's red and then it's all the blue people and they're like, oh, you'll feel like you're an audience of one. That was me for for the
Mm.
longest time. I was that audience of one where I'm literally looking at my life through a window, literally. And I'm like, what is she doing? Why is she not seeing that she can literally take the author pen of her life back and start living? But I was so accustomed, Dom, to living the life other people wanted for me instead of really pursuing the life that Portia wanted. And there was fear there. There was fear of taking the horse by the mane and going for everything that I ever wanted, right? Because there was that, I guess you can say, labeling of, oh, you're being selfish. Oh, you have to take care of everybody else. And that's for probably a whole nother conversation about that generational obligation that is often
Mm.
placed on women, that you have to take care of everybody else, but not you. And I disagree with that now. I need to take care of me in order to be able to take care of other people. And I needed to learn to put Portia first. And that's why I think my grief journey has been so profound and so pivotal because it had to teach me to put me first. So it taught me to let go of these societal prescription narrative norms that, oh, when you're in grief, it's going to rob you of this and you're going to be sad for the rest of your life. No, 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 no. No, that is a choice. I made the choice to run towards my fears. I made the choice to run towards those pains, those traumas that were weighing me down. Literally, I was a prisoner of all those things. And my grief journey has set me free. It has set me free from so many of those things. I mean, Dom, I got to be honest, like when I witnessed the transformation within my life in these last 6 months, it's remarkable. I mean, one thing that I had to work on was healing my limiting beliefs around money, around abundance. And let's be honest, a lot of people have that. If you grow up in an impoverished home, poverty is a
Mm-hmm.
state of mind, as we both know. Poverty is not
Yep.
the norm. And when I learned I actually wrote a letter. I wrote a letter. I said, hey, money, this is Portia. I have a question for you. Literally, that's how my letter went. And in that letter, I was able to address what my limiting belief around money was, which was that there was never enough, right? And when you have that scarcity mindset around money, how are you truly going to attract more if that's the only thing that is circling in your brain? You can tell yourself all these affirmations all day that, oh, I'm a web of abundance where money comes and flows, where money flows through me and comes back to me. But if you don't truly believe it in your heart, in your soul, that's like saying that you want $1 million, but you just gonna sit on the couch and eat donuts all day. That's literally what that's saying. Like, you're kind of putting a nail in your own tire in a sense.
Ouch.
And but it's true. And I knew for me, I had to create an avenue for me to attract the money that I wanted. And Dom, I'm telling you, I have literally seen it. I am like the queen of manifesting, literally. Anything that I've put my heart and soul into, it has come into fruition. Like, I'm the queen of manifesting. When I see it, the vision, I'm going for it. And I'm grateful that I was able to work through that block because I'm seeing the return on investment. But I truly believe, though, that it would have taken me longer, Dom, to take that leap of faith if my mom was still here. And don't get me wrong, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the memories, the life that my mom gave me, the lessons, her keeping her foot up my butt to be a strong woman in this world. So I'm grateful for all those things. But her transition truly was for my transformation to be the best version of me and to be able to make a difference in this life that I truly believe is what I'm here for, is to help more people to work through, whether it's their grief journey, whether it's, you know, telling their story. You know, I'm a passionate storyteller. I love storytelling. I mean, and I guess spoiler alert, now that I'm full-time producer of several podcasts, I'm also offering people coaching for how to do their own audiobooks. And the next thing I'm going to be offering too is ghostwriting, because I know there's so many people who have that story in them, but they have a hard time putting all the puzzle pieces together. There's always that one missing puzzle piece, as we both know. Everything is outlined all around it, but the center is where it tends to be a problem putting in the puzzle piece, because you got two that look alike, but maybe one's slightly curved, all these things. So you know what I'm talking about when you get those 1,000-piece puzzles and there's two that look alike, but one slightly goes this way and another one, maybe it's inverted. I don't know. Maybe it's obtuse, oblong, whatever. But going a little geometry there. But seriously, that's, you know, and so that's why this journey, Dom, has been so profound. My grief journey. It has truly been a journey of healing for not just me, but also even my relationship with other people. And I have not shared this openly, but me and my biological father have always had somewhat of an estranged relationship. And through my mom's transition, we've been able to rekindle a relationship. And when I tell you, it took a lot for me to forgive all the stuff that he did, I did. Because forgiveness is for you. That's another tip for everybody. Forgiveness, you got to do it. When you're in grief, forgiveness is key. That's lesson number 6, Dom, is forgiveness. Because people, I think we get so caught up in what forgiveness needs to look like based on our society's narrative of forgiveness. But forgiveness flat out is for you. Forgiveness is to set yourself free. Forgive yourself for the things you didn't know. Forgive yourself for the way that you might have reacted or responded to certain things in the situation, whether it's with your previous employer or the breakup, or even with the loved one who has made their transition. Because that person wants you to live. They want you to keep going no matter what. And forgiveness will set your soul free and truly, truly embody it. Don't say, "Oh, I forgive them," but in your soul you didn't. When I forgave my father, Dom, I felt a huge weight lift from my shoulders. And I'm grateful that we were able to create a relationship of some sort. Because for the first time, I don't even remember, Dom, the last time I told my father that I loved him. I told him that I loved him. And that told me right there that I was honest and transparent and true in my forgiveness.
Boom. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. The wood burning stove came out today, y'all. That's right, indeed. Y'all getting this hot fire out of the fish grease, baby. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed, baby. That's right. I need that good old forgiveness. And congratulations, rekindling that relationship and getting things going. Because, hey, life be shorter than a 1 foot tall brick wall. So, yeah, that's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. Breathe. kindling those connections. That's right, indeed. You'll love to see it. You'll love to see it. So, my goodness. So, since it's been a while since you've been on the guest side of the game, is there a question that you wish folks would ask you more often when you're on the guest side of the microphone?
That's a fun one. So there was two ideas that I kind of thought of. Number one, people always ask me, how are you so strong? People always admire my strength through various things in my life. I mean, I've had to let go of my dream job. I've had to bury my mom. I've had to bury my great grandmother. So how am I so strong? It's honestly, it's my spiritual foundation, and that perseverance that's deeply rooted in my spirit is what keeps me so strong. And the other thing too about me being strong, Dom, is I give myself permission to not be strong all the time. You have to find that blend. I don't want to say balance, because balance is this or, blend is this and. Like, I can say I can be strong and cry. Very simplistic. And I think when I was really struggling mentally, it was, I can cry or I can run and hide. Versus now, I can cry and be strong. And I can tell that me acknowledging my strength and acknowledging the blend between both having bad days and good days already insinuates a mindset shift and growth. And so that's what keeps me strong, is giving myself permission to acknowledge and find gratitude. Gratitude is the key. That's another tip for your listeners, Dom. When you're going through grief, you got to find gratitude. You have to. Gratitude is that foundation that'll keep you going. That's your life jacket through these tough times and through this new endeavor that you're on, this new self-discovery journey, this new identity. You have to find gratitude, because gratitude is what really helped me, especially, Dom, during the holiday season. During the holiday season looked very different in my household. I mean, because my mom was that key, kind of like when Big Mama cooks everything. My great grandma was the one who was making the collard greens, the sweet potatoes, the ham, the dressing. You can't forget about the cornbread that you can dip in the black eyed peas. Like, my granny was the one who did all that. Now it's me. Now it's me who has taken that baton. And I'm grateful that my mom, she would sit in the kitchen with me during her last couple years here and instruct me on how to make this. Portia, add a little bit of nutmeg, add a little bit of this. I'm grateful that I paid attention, where I'm able to honor them by keeping that legacy of those dishes, that Sunday dinner tradition. And so gratitude, truthfully, has been that mindset shift and what has kept me afloat. I'd say the other question that I would love people to ask. People often ask me about my name. I've had to tell people, I mean, in my script of Grew with Portia, I say, yes, Portia is my real name. I've had people come up to me and say, is Portia really your real name? No, I pulled it out of a magic hat like Alice in Wonderland. What? Like, people, yes. Or I get funny car joke names. I get really funny car joke names, Dom, like, oh, hi, Mercedes. Hi, Bentley. Hi, Nissan. Or the funny one that I still laugh at this day is, I remember somebody said, oh, hi, Portia, where's Ellen? And I'm like, not in my back pocket. Not my back pocket. I don't know where she's at. Probably in Hollywood somewhere. But those, on all serious notes, my mother did not name me Portia. My great grandmother named me Portia. My mom was gonna name me Tina after Tina Marie, as in Tina Turner.
Oh, okay.
And she was gonna name my brother Rick after Rick James. My mom loved Tina Turner and Rick James, and my great grandmother was like, "No, I'm not having that." So when Grandma steps in, that's it. Grandma gets to say so, and so that's how I got my name, Portia. I believe she got it out of The Merchant of Venice, the book by Shakespeare, because I know the story behind The Merchant of Venice. Portia was a lawyer who had to save her husband and all this other stuff. And apparently, there's a lot of that Portia in me, even though I haven't read the full book. So it's just so funny how our names really encompass a lot of our identity, whether we acknowledge it or not, whether it's from a storybook or it's made up, all those things. So those are the two, definitely the two.
Oh, there we go. The two for tango, indeed. Funny how that's kind of a callback to early with your high container relationship with gluten.
Right. Me and gluten, man. Me and gluten, we sometimes we are like Ike and Tina. Sometimes we can get along, but it's a love-hate relationship. It really is. And that's okay. At least I acknowledge that it's a love-hate relationship and we're not constantly in and out of, some type of prison of some sort or whatever. But I'm not gonna go.
Well, speaking of bread, fun question for you. So, if your
Sure.
wonderful book, Finding Grace Within Grief, if that was a food item, what would it be and why?
Ooh, if Finding Grace was in grief was a food item, what would it be? I would have to say, and I'm going to quote my mom, it would probably be a jalapeno because one minute it gets really hot and you're crying, and other times it's smooth sailing, especially if you like hot stuff. And it's an honest to God truth.
I guess that's why I like your coffee black, right?
Dark like my soul and my sense of humor. That's literally how I drink my coffee. No sugar, no cream. And if coffee ain't strong, it ain't no good. You throw it out. That's depresso. That ain't coffee. No, coffee is supposed to be black. I don't care what anybody says. Coffee. Same thing with my tea. I don't put sugar and stuff in my tea either. Drink my coffee black, drink my tea black. No sugar, no cream. Not even honey. I don't even put honey in my tea. Mm-mm.
Well, okay. Well, there you go. There you go, dude. Just right there. She's like, yeah, put forward all natural, all natural. That's right, indeed. Puts hair on your soul.
Right? It does. The first time I drank coffee, Dom, it literally felt like I swallowed Jack. Like, you know how Jack literally puts hair on your tongue, like on your chest? Coffee, I was like, ooh. Because I didn't even start drinking coffee until I was like 25. When I was in like the end of my college careers when I started drinking coffee. And even now, I go on coffee strikes. Sometimes I don't need coffee. Like I can wake up in the morning because I naturally have so much energy. I mean, you're talking to the girl who used to work 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Sunday through Thursday, who now gets up at 4 a.m. and a lot of times is in the bed by 11. So you're talking to one who had a complete global shift in her whole schedule. So seriously, I mean, when I think back to that time, like sometimes, Dom, I still find myself on deadline. Like I'm like, oh my God, I gotta get this done before. I'm like, wait a minute, hold up. Pump the brakes, Portia. We don't have to be on deadline. We don't have to stack this rundown. But no, Portia, remove that nonsense. Like rebuke that in the name of whatever God you believe in. Like, no, Portia. Seriously, I just was like, mm-mm.
So, anything else you're excited about for 2023 in addition to your wonderful services of ghostwriting and audiobook coaching?
One of the things I will be doing a lot of speaking engagements. So I will be going to West Palm Beach, Florida at the beginning of March for the Heal the Mind, Elevate the Soul retreat, where I am one of the speakers with Natasha Khan, Nefertiri McGriff, and also Dawn Earhart Whitty. I am also going to be on another speaking engagement later that month in March in Washington, D.C. The other thing I would say is just to experience life, to just be and learn who Portia is now. Now that I've let Grew with Portia go, and now that I'm full-time producer, really determining the next steps in my life. I mean, I literally just set my own revenue goal for this year for the first time. I'm just like, oh my God, I'm super excited. all the different. Oh, also I'm releasing 4 books this year, so that's another thing that's coming out. And then I'm also still hosting another podcast with Dawn and Natasha. It's called The Sofa Conversations. We release it monthly, and we have great conversations. So just the doors of opportunity are in abundance for me.
Woo, that's right indeed. Abundance 2023. You love to see it. That's
Number
right indeed.
23, the greatness.
That's right indeed. That's right indeed. Apparently, that's the amount of religious relics they have in the Pentagon. 23. Stop.
Well, I was thinking 23 as far as MJ's number, but okay. That's what I was thinking, but okay. What does Portia know.com? But
yeah, that's right indeed. Who knows? Maybe MJ's a 23rd relic. It's a statue of him.
I mean, that's a conspiracy worth exploring. I ain't gonna lie to you.
That's right indeed. Don't ask anybody about that at home, kids. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. If they ask you, where'd you come up with that question? Just think about a rubber duck. You'll be fine.
Right, let it roll off your back, why don't you? I mean, what is PortiaKnow.com again? See, I told you. I told you you were not ready for me to come on here. I told you.
It's
I'm
all
on a roll
good.
like Jelly Roll.
There we go. That sounds excellent.
It's extravagant. Too bad Humpty Dumpty had a great fall, but that's okay.
Darn it, we're in winter. Shoot. Oh, darn it. Well, they say winter is coming and all in one weekend. Let's hope it stays in that weekend. So, my goodness, before any more rabbit holes appear with rubber ducks, we're coming down to the magical question that every guest gets to receive. And you don't even have to
Yay.
go back that far for it. So, if you don't wake up tomorrow and you're at 25 again, but still in 2023, what advice would you give to yourself?
That's a good one. I would say, even in dark times, there is light. It's in the darkest moments where we truly find our solitude, where we find ourselves, and where we really find clarity. Because you only find clarity in silence, you don't find clarity with a bunch of noise.
Oh, Miss Right indeed, poetic. You love to hear it. That's right indeed, the poetic producer, baby. That's right, the preachy poetic producer. That's right, the triple P, baby. That's right indeed. That's right, Portia, the triple P. You love to see it. Yes, indeed. That's right indeed, triple platinum. In this
Right.
case, that makes it quadruple platinum. More P adjectives and nouns.
Right. I may as well release a triple platinum album, huh? Called, let's see, Portia the producer's photography, podcast, and plates, because I do cook. So there you go, triple P.
There you go, those poetic plates. That's right indeed.
Hey, you never know. Like I said, what does PortiaKnow.com?
Well, speaking of .com, folks need to head over to your wonderful website and check out all of your wonderful wares to keep up with your journey, especially since you got 4 books coming out this year. That's 4-pack abs right there and all the stuff that you're doing. So what's the best way for folks to keep up with Portia's journey?
They can keep up with me on Facebook. I'm Portia Booker, or Instagram, Portia_hugs, HUGS, or on LinkedIn, Portia Booker. Those are the best platforms to find me. I mean, if you just Google my name, Portia Booker, you will find me. Literally. You just Google Portia Booker, and that's it. Literally. You'll find me somehow. Just not through Morse code. I can tell you that. You won't find me there. But I told you. I told you weren't ready for this.
Hey, better than Moose Code.
Right? Funny story, when me and my friend were in Chicago, there's their communications museum, and they have the doors to where Oprah show used to open. And they also have a machine where you can pretend like you're doing Morse code. So me, I literally was playing Jingle Bells. I was like dee 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 dee. And I'm sure that probably I like screwed up something in the server, because after I did that, it wouldn't work anymore. So I don't know if they thought it was a code of some sort. I don't know. It didn't say do not touch. So
Yeah.
at least I don't think it did.
Well, as long as that's all that happened.
From my understanding, that was all. I don't know what happened anything else in that museum afterwards. I have no idea.
As long as nobody came
Innocent
out the
until
bushes.
proven guilty.
Darn Skippy. So I was supposed to be. That's right indeed. Innocent, dangumit. That's right indeed. Y'all ain't got no living proof. Nope. That's right. That's right indeed. The proof is in the pudding, dangumit. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. And if you pop a pudding cup open, well, then there ain't no proof in there.
Right, it's just disappointment. Just then it ain't even full all the way. You're really gonna be disappointed if you open it. It's like, I mean, they're ripping people off every day with chips, ripping the quarter bag of chips. Now they're charging 75 cents for like you get like this much bag. Like, I don't even remember the last time I ate chips. I don't even know. Like I said,
Because
we
you're
have a
chipper without them.
yeah, because it will probably be fine like I Contina too, because a lot of that stuff has gluten. So, let me be the cheesiest Cheeto and not indulge. Okay, I'm Cheeto esque, or let me upgrade to Cheerios.
Cheerio. Well, there you have it, folks. Reach out to time for Portia. Y'all gonna put a link to all of her goods and wares in the show notes indeed. So be sure to check out the audio book program indeed. Dive in, learn some more about Portia's story, the grief, and all the wonderful stuff she's got cooking in more ways than one, because she's just getting started. That's right indeed, because she's only 13. So that means she's got a lot more to give to the world, y'all. I'm telling you. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. So, any parting words before I close up shop?
Grief is a process, but it's not permanent. You can work through it. It's possible.
Thanks a bunch for investing your time by listening to this wonderful podcast today. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you really did, do me a solid and leave a review or share this episode with at least 3 people that you think would get some value out of today's content. Advance others to advance yourself.